waiting for that meeting.
You're down advisory board only, and
Yeah,
I made
that's
sure
then
that
I got.
Yeah, well, and then
You are live as soon as you start your meeting and state what it is.
camper right there too.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let me get
Can
my
we-
next meeting.
Can we start the meeting?
Yes, yes. I have a couple of quick announcements. One is I don't have the meeting minutes complete, I'm sorry.
No worries, okay.
It was our busiest year in history at the store, and I had family in town, and it was. So I will have them next week.
No
I'll
worries,
have
we can
two.
just postpone till next week.
Yeah, I'll have two of them next time. And I also don't have the recycling center. I have it finalized, but I didn't get to make the pretty graphs that I wanted to. So I would like the opportunity to do that at our next meeting, if that's okay with
That
you.
sounds great.
You're fine.
Okay.
We get it. It has
Yeah.
been a bonkers month.
Yeah, so, that said, we don't have much on the agenda, and I would say that, maybe Alan, since he's online, if he would like to talk about number 4, the free EV chargers, then Alan, you don't have to stick around unless you want to.
Sure. Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Alan.
Awesome. Hey, thanks.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First, can I give an update? This is like just off the press. The CPRG grant, they released the results yesterday. Long story short, Montana DEQ only got half of what they were asking for. Kind of surprising. They got funding for forest management, urban forests, putting out coal seam fires, fertilizer and ranch land issues for a total of $50 million, with surprisingly nothing for Montana schools, EV fleets, and grid technology. So I'd say that's kind of a downer. So I'll have to finish this little presentation with a joke. But anyway, if I could skip on to the possibly,
Could you back up? You said nothing for schools, and I didn't catch the rest of that. I'm taking notes. I just wanted to make sure I have it all
Oh,
right.
yeah, sure. Nothing for schools, EV fleets for municipalities, and grid technology. So that would be things like microgrids.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so I looked more into the possibility of free Tesla chargers to replace our very old ones. And online forums indicate that Tesla stopped offering free EV chargers a few years ago. I would like to investigate that a little further just to confirm, and that would only involve filling out an online host partner program pre-application on behalf of the city, if that's okay. But more than likely, that's going to turn out to not be a source of potential funding for us. But I did go to the Resort Tax Committee meeting last week, which was fascinating, eye-opening. They have a lot of money that they are looking to deploy. If I can just kind of relay secondhand, something like a $200,000 current cash account with a $600,000 cash cushion, which is sort of wow. And I presented several ideas to them for funding requests, ideas that originated within the Sustainability Board, to briefly include replacing those 3 oldest EV chargers, using some of that Resort Tax Committee funds for required grant matches, and 1 electric vehicle for the fleet, the city fleet. I wrote down some of the committee members' comments during the Resort Tax meeting as I heard them in the moment. And to me, they indicated support for some of these proposals. Quote, shouldn't the resort tax fund be paying for all grant matches? Quote, maybe the resort tax fund should be funding the Sustainability Board on an annual basis. Numbers that were thrown out were something between $1,000 and $10,000 hypothetically. These are just notes that I wrote down at the moment. So take with a grain of salt. one of the resort tax committee members said, quote, "I personally know people who only decide to visit Red Lodge because of its EV-friendly reputation." And to me, that indicated that EV chargers bring in tourist dollars. And one government official said that they would research whether grant matching funds from the resort tax fund would fall more under a line item or a capital outlay expenditure. Another quote that I wrote down was, quote, "I own an F-150 Lightning and it's super fun to drive, accelerates much faster than a gas vehicles, and EVs should be the default choice for the city vehicle purchases, everything else being equal." And also, anyone here is interested in test driving an EV, I'd be glad to accommodate if I may. I have an EV, which I'm glad to give test drives. And lastly, one of the government officials summarized that it seems, quote, "A major driver for the resort tax committee is that we are sitting on a large pile of unused cash that should be mobilized since the fiscal year budget will be likely approved in a special session in August. And obviously, there will still be hundreds of thousands of dollars in resort tax fund left over for critical sidewalk improvements, sewer projects, law enforcement, and snow shoveling. So I am suggesting that we ask for some of these funds from the resort tax committee fund. Quickly details on the 6 things I would propose that we ask for. Number 1, replacing 3 out of the 4 old EV chargers. Ballpark, that would be $3,000, including electrician installation. Number 2,
total?
What was that? Yes,
3,000 total?
Yeah, I think the chargers cost $565 per, and I roughly doubled that to include the cost of installation.
Okay.
Number 2, stenciling painted EV parking only signs on the 4 parking spots. I take a look at them every time I drive by, and about 50% of the time they're blocked by gasoline cars. And so how much would that cost? I don't know, but I'm going to guesstimate about $1,000. Number 3, matching grants for Northwestern Energy and other renewable energy grant programs. The 2 grants for 3 have been awarded in the most recent funding cycle for the recycling center and public works building. The required city match would be about $3,000 for that. And
I have a question. Alan, can we go back for a minute? You said
Sure.
it cost us $1,000 to have gas vehicles parked in the electric charging station parking stalls?
No, he wanted a sign saying EV
Stencil
only,
painting on the pavement, EV parking only,
Oh,
and that would cost approximately $1,000.
which is, I think that's very high, but.
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was, okay, I meant some, and my hearing aid's in, so I just wanted to check it before we got too far down the line.
Okay, yeah.
sorry.
Alan has a lot to say, but keep up.
Yeah, thanks for letting me clarify.
You were at matching funds for renewable energy grants.
Yeah, thank you. And other renewable energy projects. By the way, I started off by saying that the Montana DEQ did not get the CPRG funding for electric grid resiliency. As a separate thing, there is a separate pot of money which the DEQ already has, which is earmarked for microgrids. And so hypothetically, if we did apply for that and did get that, and if they did require a match from the city, that would be another thing that I would consider to fall into the category of a renewable energy program for which maybe resort tax funds could be used to pay for the city's match. Number 4, thinking ahead, we've been talking about a carport for solar panels to power the EV charging station. It's not a given that we would, even be able to decide to apply for that. And if we did, it's not a given that Northwestern Energy would include the structure itself in their grant. And so just throwing this out there, maybe that would be another example of something that we might ask resort tax funds for. And we know for sure that would be less than $10,000. We've already done a little bit of research on how much the carport without the solar panels would cost. Number 5, I would suggest we ask for funds for one EV for the city fleet. And that would be in conjunction with the federal $7,500 direct pay credit, but obviously no CPRG grant funds would go towards that. And shooting from the hip, that might cost $50,000. And I want to point out one thing about a city EV. Right now, it is not clear what, if any, city department would want it. Police, potentially, Public Works, I don't know. But anyway, to reiterate, many people enjoy electric vehicles and don't know a lot about them. And let me know if anyone wants to test drive ours. And lastly, number 6 would be a request for ongoing sustainability board funding, something on the order of $2,000 to $10,000 per year. Who knows? And to reiterate, I also found out that at the past Resort Tax Committee meeting that the budget approval timeline is very soon, within weeks. And so if we decide to go ahead and ask for these funds, we would want to do it ASAP before the next scheduled meeting. Another slightly different topic. Regarding the solar carport grant proposal at the EV chargers, at the last Public Works meeting, we discussed the importance of getting input from people at the Arts Guild. And I have a meeting scheduled on Friday, August 9th with Kim Kapalka to discuss the aesthetics of such a carport. For example, keeping in mind the importance of the view of the historic caboose. So in summary, I am proposing that I first fill out a no commitment online pre-application for Tesla EV chargers, which will almost certainly come back as, no, we don't offer that program anymore. And secondly, ask the Resort Tax Committee before their next meeting if they'll include line item versus capital outlay expenditure in their upcoming budget for replacing the EV chargers, stencil painting EV parking only to keep the availability open, matching grants for sustainability energy projects, a city electric vehicle, and ongoing sustainability project funding during their imminent budget cycle, which would possibly be in an August special session. And that's on a background setting of spoken concern that the Resort Tax Committee is not deploying enough of their cash reserves. Thank you for your consideration. And I want to wrap this up by saying that remember the $10,000 that was left over from the Arbor Day grant flowing directly into the city coffers? Yay! It does go to show that money, in fact, does grow on trees. So thank you for your consideration.
Alan, can I ask you one question? How much, for item 3, the matching funds for renewable energy grants and projects, what was the amount on that one? Did you have an amount?
I think it's
Sure.
17 and 13, something like that.
As I recall, that was the amount that the grant was for, and that was at a 90% Northwestern Energy support level. So 10% of those projects, roughly 10,000, 20,000, would be $3,000 for those 2 projects, if I recall correctly.
3,000 total? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that in the notes. I may reach out to you to make sure that I have all this.
So I
corrected. Go ahead, Mike.
the matching grant things for the solar, we can budget for that, from the recycling center and from Public Works. That's not a problem. The stuff with, and I said this last time I was here, and I said it at Resort Tax meeting, the money has to go into a budget. And it has to go into water, sewer, parks, swimming pool, how do you spend money on the EV out of any of my budgets? Out
Well,
of any budget?
That's what I put this on the agenda, and I don't know if we can find,
I think
you know,
it
if we can
needs
change
its
a line
own-
item, I don't know if
it
that's
needs
possible.
I don't.
Because
think its own budget.
what it is it's a philosophy that works into our regular budget. It's
Yeah.
not, so if we're buying vehicles and we buy one of them that's an EV,
That's
there's not a
doable.
sustainability line item, there's a vehicle line item, and we chose to buy one. So as I said, it's a philosophy that we
But
look for opportunities.
But we don't have a line
throughout.
item, any budget for the EV station.
Right.
For instance, like parks is an actual thing,
Mhm.
and we could, so that's it. That, my question was actually about something.
Could a
else.
charging station potentially be a park thing, because it's a public land space? Or could it potentially be
I talked to,
streets, sidewalks?
I don't know,
It's kind of on the sidewalk,
can we, I
the
mean,
sidewalk
the
fixture?
other analogy would be, if we wanted to put a free gas station in a park, is that part of parks? Is that
So-
part of streets? I don't, because it's the same thing.
Sure.
Speaking from the resort tax committee, we can only spend the resort tax on things that are listed there, which are water, sewer, streets,
Parks.
parks. So we cannot spend money for capital to build an EV station carport unless it's part of the park.
Unless it's- or part of
Or
street.
part of the street.
And I guess, I think I said in resort tax, I just want some clarification on that, because I can see an auditor looking at that and saying,
Maybe that's who
you
we ask,
have
if we
an
ask the
EV station
auditor.
in your park?
Why don't we just ask the audit, like, and see, hey, we want to do this thing, where would this fit? 'Cause this-
Yeah, no, I,
And then that way we know we're doing it right, but still, we can move forward and do it. 'Cause I think that we could justify it out of numerous
Right,
different
I think right-
budgets. We
I
just
think
wanna
right
make sure
now,
we're not
though-
gonna get our hands
And
slapped
that's,
for it.
and I think that's what Mike was saying, is it fits into whichever budget is using,
Yeah.
is pursuing sustainability. But the proposal that there is a sustainability budget / line item
Gotcha,
is not
Yeah.
a thing.
gotcha.
and, you know, and I
Can we make it a
I
thing?
think asking that question would be a good idea, because I believe that the electric bill for that is paid out of the light budget for streetlights.
Right, that's what you're saying.
And I don't know if that would fly past an auditor,
Yeah.
you know?
Sustainability itself is not
Dave
a
will get to
resort
you.
tax,
I see you.
viable way of spending the funds. It's not spelled out as sustainability.
Sure, but again, I'm trying to figure out,
It can only be used, yes, we can't give the sustainability a budget out of resort tax. We can give
Okay.
the parks board a budget out of resort, because parks is
yeah,
part of it. But it's not a listed it's not
Okay,
an
so we won't
ordinance.
be able to put,
It's
like, a
not-
pot.
That wasn't voted on that way, just like we can't give the police department money to
For
pay
salaries.
wages for salaries, because it was not listed in our ordinance as that's an allowable expense.
so we could, though, find a place to budget it within parks, streets,
If-
et cetera, to where it is essentially, we are creating a line item there for capital improvement projects that we are choosing to make sustainable, right?
It has to be a listed capital, like, we can't do a new city hall building out of resort tax.
Sure, no, I get that,
It's not listed.
okay.
So it has to be a capital
We can't
project
even call
that's
it a
allowed.
park.
Yeah, we call the city hall
Yeah,
a
that's the
park.
thing, I mean,
City Hall?
So
You
a
can call,
vehicle,
you can call, but I can't take water money and spend it on
a
sewer,
vehicle,
Right.
yes.
you know,
We
so
buy
we
a-
gotta kind of follow the rules.
Sure,
a
again, so
little
that's
bit.
what I'm saying, is
Yeah.
we have, I know that we've been working with the Sustainability Board to get a capital improvement list, like a project list that
Right.
we wanna pursue. So we could feasibly start putting money in towards those capital improvement projects that we have already chosen to direct in a sustainable way. So he's getting money for these matching grants to do sustainable projects, which fit with capital improvement projects underneath a budget. It's tricky, but, like, right? That
No,
tracks?
I mean, like
Yeah.
the recycling center and
Yeah.
and the public works to match those, that's
Sure.
easy. We got budget for that.
Yeah, but
We
EV
don't-
parking
we don't have
stations is where
roads.
we're in a weird limbo.
I don't know I don't know what budget that fits under.
Okay.
And I would love somebody that
So ask
Point
the
in our
auditor and they'll
direction.
tell us.
To find out where the line is at, if, you know, if you can say an EV station is part of a park, well,
There's a park there, right?
it doesn't really
But the light.
fit my mind as a
The
park
light.
thing, but,
Right,
I mean-
no, I understand exactly.
Yeah, so again, I wanna be able to help provide direction, I'm just looking at
I know,
the people who know better than I do
and-
where I
and
would get that
just to
direction.
clarify, the resort tax committee does not have the budget. We're not the ones who decide how that money is spent.
Sure,
I mean, it's the mayor who makes the budget, with
Right.
the department heads, and the city council passes it.
It's
Right.
the residents who said what the rules are.
Right,
right,
but it's the resort tax committee, we're there to make recommendations on how we would like, or how the public would like the money spent, and make sure it's within those, that we're following those guidelines that were passed by the voters.
sure. So again, if we're hearing that there's a recommendation that we use that money in a sustainable fashion, then when we're doing our budgets, we look at how we do that. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
well,
we didn't want people to
or
think
how
the
we
resort
move
tax
forward,
committee-
like,
No. I don't think that they get a
That's why
right.
I said, I think there's a sustainability option that says, as we're doing the budget, we look for sustainable options.
yeah. You
Yeah.
know, like, we're gonna put a new heater in the shop up there. One of the things identified in their sustainability
Conservation
Bible.
plan.
was infrared heaters. We'll probably put an infrared heater in.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so,
And again, we can look at putting money for a new vehicle and potentially getting a match to help pay for that vehicle, and it could be an EV vehicle.
Right.
And- Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
Oh, I thought we're done.
So
Did you hurt
well,
yourself?
because it came up again, it's a grant, it's a grant. I cannot emphasize strongly enough that we cannot have random individuals, people, organizations, or anybody going out and applying for grants on behalf of the city. There are several grants that are out there. The Community Foundation comes many times and says, can we get permission to fill out a grant on behalf of the city, or the city is the sponsor? And council passes a resolution that authorizes so-and-so to apply on behalf of the city. I've heard 2 or 3 things here, and it's happened a time or two in the past where somebody's just applying for us, the city, and you, the council, are the city in that sense. And so you have to authorize somebody to do that. And if we don't, that's called identity theft.
And again, that is 100% the strategy to do that. I'm just saying
I
that,
just heard him say, I'm gonna go out and apply, and it's like, no, don't do
No.
that until council,
Approved.
ask for council to pass a resolution that gives you the ability to go apply on behalf of the city.
and that's what he is asking. I think, anyway, I won't.
I do see a hand, but.
Alan?
Alan, go ahead.
Sure, a local solution, I could, email a link to the application and my suggested responses to questions 1 through 9 to city clerk or to whomever, I don't know, and then I could just step away. That might be another idea. And
We
even
can have outside entities that do it, it's just council has to basically authorize that before it happens, not afterwards,
Right.
like we did with trees.
I 100% understand that. And again, I think what he's saying is there's certain grants that he would like to look for. We need to budget money to be able to apply for those. Once we have a budget to do so, then we can create that authorization to allow him to move forward.
And there are several people that are staff that can go out on behalf, so if that fills in, he wants to come and bring that in. If we take your approach, Alan, there of, here's my input for 1 through 9, and whether I hand that off to Public Works, whether I hand it off to one of the appropriate department to fill out that grant. And like I said, it's even possible to have somebody fill out a grant on behalf of the city. I'm just saying, let's stay inside the lines and get the authorization to do that before we do that.
Right.
That's something we're gonna see on a future audit report.
Yeah. And again, that's something that I thought we were all on the same page on. At least that's where my brain was. It's just making sure that to be able to authorize them to do it, we need to have the budget to be able to match. And I think
Right.
that's where my brain is we're in budget time, so let's make sure that that's something that we're taking into
Right,
account.
I don't want
And I-
wasting his time doing it if we already.
Exactly.
We don't even have the budget to back it.
And I'm good with that, but I heard keywords that triggered.
That's fair, I can see, yeah, a little PTSD here, I got it.
Back to the line item in the budget. So stuff like, for example, stenciling the EV parking only, could that be part of streets? You know, that it's a
Probably.
sign, basically it's a street sign.
Don't we have a sign there already that says EV parking only? And it's up on the pole? And won't get snowed on?
Go ahead, Alan.
That's a good point.
There is if you look for it. Nobody's going to look for it. This morning when I went to our local recreation center down here in Denver, it's big. It's a 5-foot circular-ish spray painted right there on the parking sign, and it's pretty hard to miss. So yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have a sign there. It's pretty small, and a big painted sign in fluorescent green or whatever, something aesthetic, would just get way more people's attention, be more effective.
I agree with you on that. I know it'll get covered up in snow part of the year, but,
Mhm.
if
I thought
I think it's
people,
right
if
there,
it's,
like, at
more
least
there
a
was
week
if it's a
later.
problem that gas vehicles are parking there, then,
I thought there was a sign.
The only
he
time
said
I've
there's a
noticed
sign.
when,
It's just
when
not
it's-
very big.
when we're full,
Oh.
people are parked there, but when we're full,
Right. I'm
people
not
are
gonna,
parked everywhere.
Yeah, they're.
I was
Right.
like, well, I'll park there for
Is
a library meeting.
council gonna pass an ordinance that says there's a fine for that? There's your solution. You know, handicap, there's a fine if you park in a handicap spot. Do you wanna take it to that do you wanna take it to that level?
Not really.
I
And
don't.
you, I mean collectively council.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, does not seem like low fruit, that one.
Sorry?
Passing the thing about spray painting or stencil painting as opposed to passing a resolution, that was one that I suggested just because it seemed like it'd be much easier and wouldn't involve, you know, the issue of enforcement or.
So much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's government bureaucracy, of course there's lots of work that goes into it.
It's still a suggestion, it's just a stronger, bigger suggestion.
Mhm.
Well, Alan, thank you. I know at times it probably seems to you like you're just running up against brick walls all the time, and I just personally appreciate you continuing to try.
Mhm.
And, you know, hopefully we'll get somewhere with some of these things. You do have some people in your corner on this.
Thank you, much appreciated. Action point with the very soon approaching resort tax budget approval coming up. Is there anything I can do or that we can plan to touch base on in the near future regarding a more official request to resort tax board? For example, looking into the dotted i's and crossed t's on how it could fall into line item versus cap expenditure. Any guidance you guys can give me on how I might be of assistance?
I think honestly, the biggest thing is identifying these projects and when budgets are presented by the associated like departments. So again, Public Works, Parks, Streets, that's where it has to come from, not necessarily from the Resort Tax Committee.
Right, it's Mike.
Yeah, it'd be, so when Mike's doing his budget, as long as that's in his mind frame,
Yeah.
and he says like, hey, we're doing this green piece here, here, and here. This was also a recommendation from the Resort Tax Committee. I think that's probably all that needs to happen in that regard, if that makes sense. Because really, it's gonna be Mike spending the money.
Yeah, and
I think-
I've read that, and there's some stuff in the conservation report that I think we can address moving forward.
Yeah.
And, you know, basically kill two birds with one stone, kind of like, you know, I don't see, an EV for Public Works to have would just be for show, we wouldn't use it. I mean, we
You would
drive
use
it,
a
we
pickup?
drive it to Billings, for when we take samples. When, you know, that would be it. And I don't think that's very cost effective. We've got a retired police car that is free that we drive up there, so.
So we just don't have the need for that kind of vehicle at this point.
And yeah, I don't, we need,
We get one of those lightning Ford pickups and put a plow on it,
Yeah,
see how it works in the cold.
that Willie would
I
love it.
think those are half-ton pickup trucks, and the plow would probably be too heavy for it. I just, there's just not, I don't know.
Not the need for it for a
I
new
mean, if we
department.
had like, City of Billings, we had people who were just, their whole job, 365 days a year was running around fixing meters, sure. But we don't have that.
But you need more of a heavy-duty work
Yeah.
truck. Okay.
Well, and I know
Chelsea,
that
thanks.
Steve had-
I think I do understand. I'm just thinking about in my head, the time of the Public Works budget, the Parks budget, approvals, wouldn't those be after the Resort Tax Committee budget approval, and wouldn't sort of like the sequence of events, resort tax, approval for funds to the various city departments, and after that, the various city departments request the funds, would that be, something that could work out timing wise?
The Resort Tax Committee doesn't approve a budget. We make recommendations based on public input on how the money is spent. If there's an excess amount. But, the budgets themselves are actually, the department heads have their line items that how they want to spend it, and they go with the mayor, they talk it over. Resort tax the committee looks at it on how the resort tax money is being spent, and we say, yeah, that fits into the guidelines to make sure we're kind of the check for the city to make sure we're spending it the way that we're supposed to be spending it, in the way the ordinance says we can spend it. And then if we do have extra, we can make recommendations and say, yeah, it'd be great to pay down the pool, or yeah, it'd be great if we could start a new project. But we have no legal, we have no authority, we're just an advisory group.
So question for you, Jody, do we get a presentation from Resort Tax when going through a budget season?
Yes.
Okay.
And Tom will be making that,
Okay.
here shortly.
Yeah, so I'm still, I'm, because time is moving in on us, I don't know if it'll be in a special meeting or it's not. He and I are still talking and going through that.
Okay.
Schedules are having a heck of a time lining up over the next month, but it's that as well as the fire. That's there. There were several conversations that came up the other night. I don't know when we're going to get a chance, other than getting it online in the presentation a little bit quicker. We are not going to have all the presentations on budgets that I would like to have and that I feel like we should be having once we start in like February or March. I'm really looking forward to next year's budgeting season, if I haven't said that already.
So, Tom, the Resort Tax Committee, our presentation, and Tom usually presents it, basically covers what's the resort tax, how can we spend it, what are the legal, what's our legal ability to spend it, what's already designated that we can't touch, because every year we have to give we give 150,000 to sewer, 100,000 to water. We pay 98,000 on the pool budget. We pay for a parks employee that also does streets. We pay for capital for the sewer and water and streets, so if they need a new plow, all of that is all expenses that will be in the budget. And at the end of the day, a lot of times we over budget what we think that we're going to get in, so then we kind of put that in the wish list category.
Okay.
And that's where,
That's the placeholder.
that's the placeholder.
That took me a while to
And there's a secondary
I was like,
part
oh, I
of
got
that
this money. No,
that
no.
you cannot, so Alan made a comment to the cushion or the sum that's there. Basically like the first year of, you cannot spend it if it's not budgeted. So the trick is, you have to budget on something that you're not dependent on, AKA paying down debt early or massive project X.
Putting $400,000 into our street.
In one sense of the word, you could say, and $1 gazillion to cover our bases, and we'll repave every street in Red Lodge. Just as a safety precaution to not go through the headache that we went through 5 years ago.
Right.
So we had,
But if you get too big of a number, and like I said, there's one of the discussions that Tom and I had a little bit of back and forth on, and ultimately it'll be council's comfort level too, but we haven't got anybody other than me who was there that got bit when we've had it,
Right.
is figure out your most optimistic and then build a cushion in on top of that.
Right.
So I want it to be an unattainable, I want it to be unobtainium,
Right.
Okay,
so that we don't have that issue.
This last year, we budgeted $1.8 million, as what we said we would get in with resort tax, and I think we hit like 1.4.
Okay.
So we have in our budget spent out there, like another $400,000 that we're not going to spend because we did not collect it.
gotcha.
And
So when
so
you
it's
say
not
you got this
budgeted on,
cushion,
it's not budgeted on something that
We don't
we're in
have the
trouble.
income coming in, so we can't spend that. But we budget it every year.
Gotcha.
As like these wish list projects, but we know we're not gonna spend it unless we have a banner year. And
Unless you actually get the money in.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay.
So, there's a little caveat there that you have to be careful of. Can't, try not to put that money, those wish list money into something that you spend right away, because if you don't get it,
No,
you're
yeah,
you're
you-
gonna.
Then you don't.
So when we passed the ordinance, one of the concerns several of us had is we didn't want more than 30 or 40% to be obligated,
Sure, no, that makes sense.
because you wanted to have the flexibility to use it as it comes up. But then the flip side of that is, you want to be able to use it, pay off water, I mean, basically, so debt reduction is the same thing. We're going to pay off $2 million of debt every year if we get it.
As long as
Yeah.
it's an allowed purchase under the resort
Yeah.
tax, so.
So yeah, I think to answer your question, Alan, is we don't approve a budget, we get a presentation from them. And so if you want to put a bug in their ear to include that in the presentation as one of those wish list items, that might be the strategy.
The resort tax, just keep it on their mind as I'm able to. And then
Yeah,
wait
I
for.
think just so that way they can try and include that in that presentation. And then also, I'm sure Mike hears you loud and clear that when making purchases for all these different departments, when we can go green, we go green. And if we can budget some money for some of these grants that we've been talking about, then we should aim to do that. And so, Thank you for summarizing that. yeah,
Yeah.
very succinct. It's a lot, there's a lot of.
Very
stuff.
succinct. Good job.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you all very much. I look
Uh,
forward to hearing more details on the upcoming government decisions on how to allocate their money. And if I am able to, I would love to offer suggestions. So thank you all very much.
All right, Thanks, thanks, Alan. Alan.
Okay, should we pop back up to the Public Works update?
Sure.
And I put a couple things in there just as follow-ups, Mike said.
Okay, sorry. I'll run through this really quick. Stormwater project's going good. We're about to the end of phase 2 as far as the main line goes. Hopefully, in the next 2 days, we'll have the last manhole in, then the crews are gonna come back down Platte and start putting in the inlets. They're gonna try and put 2 crews together, so they're hoping they can finish that up, in a little bit over a week's time and be completely off of Platte. Theoretically, Wharton's gonna come in and we're gonna do the paving for the FEMA project, which covers some of Hagan, 14th, 13th, part of Platte, and then they'll also pick up all the patches from the stormwater project at the same time. So it'll be at
So is 15th Street the farthest south it will go?
14th.
14th.
For the
Okay,
storm.
well, 15th is
But
closed there, but,
15th will be,
okay,
part of that FEMA paving project.
okay,
And it won't be, it's kind of spotty, basically they're gonna cut back and it's gonna be, Frankenstein.
okay. Karsha was just, Sherry wanted to know, and I said I'd find out. Because
Yeah, how far
we have
we
our crews when we do our
Our
turnaround
turnaround.
there, but we'll be fine. If you're not going 15th to 16th, we're
So
good.
we're good.
Mike, can you repeat the streets on that, so the 15th?
For the FEMA paving,
Yeah,
I'll send you a picture of it, cause I don't remember what all streets.
okay.
It's little chunks kinda all over, and all the way down to Ninth and Cooper, they're gonna do that too, I think.
Okay,
Thank you.
The other thing with stormwater project, we got, I think I don't know if I mentioned this last time, DOT denied any funding for bringing their storm drains into the new storm drain that are currently tied to the sewer. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with that. We are gonna have further conversations about it. I'm having Great West go ahead and design those so we can get cost estimates on them. I do believe that there's enough money in the stormwater budget, and the time to do it is now as a change order, because we wouldn't have to pay a mob fee or put it out for bid. We just do a change order and have Wilson Brothers run those up and capture that water so it's not going in our sewer, because it's substantial. You've all seen it when it comes down the street. That's going in the sewer that would be on 8th, 9th,
10.
or maybe 9th, 10th. There's 4 of them, 4 streets. Either 9th and 10th, 11th isn't, 12th and 13th, and 14th isn't. I think those are the 4. And so that's kind of in the works. The other stormwater thing that's going on is tied to the mine drain up here. The Department of Abandoned Mines is on site. They're working today. They dug a hole and found some water.
We did.
When I was heading here, they were trying to do a little test pump on it to see what the recharge rate was. I think eventually we're gonna have to extend that storm drain up to them. We have a task order the mayor signed, to get the engineering done for that so that it's shovel ready. It's looking like Abandoned Mines will pay to have that put in for us. It's not, I haven't seen that in writing, so hold your breath.
But it's a problem we need to address, whether they step up to it or not, so.
I think we need to run line up there. Right now, if we were to go back to the old line, which is, in my mind isn't a good idea, it's probably 100 years old and it collapsed, so when's it gonna collapse again? And it runs through private property.
Yep.
People
like to take from it as well.
So we're waiting to see what's all gonna happen up there. The plan right now is to try and determine what kind of head is there, what kind of volume is there, try and decrease it to get the pressure off that house, then get a new drain put in, and then I think long-term vision is looking at the source and the big irrigation ditches up on the hill. Sidewalk project, I just spoke with Yellowstone Structural today, finally. They've been kind of putting me off. They're having trouble scheduling a work plan around, I requested they work early in the morning and get out of there by 10:30-ish or 11, like start at 5. They're struggling with that. I told them just put it together no matter what and give me a price. So he said that I'll have something by tonight, so we'll see. So I haven't got a price back from them yet.
But I think it was from, what have you?
You'll have a bid?
Yeah, we'll have a price.
And is this the second company that you were talking to?
Yep, this
Out of,
is the second one.
and what's the name of that one?
Yellowstone Structural Systems.
Thank you.
Like I said, in the streets, well, we're tearing up 15th? Oh, yeah, 15th right now. We've got it all, it was all alligator crack, unpatchable section for a half a block. So we tore it all out this week. We're gonna build it back up, and then next week, we're gonna have some asphalt put down there. Hopefully have a nice street there for a little chunk. We did, I got an email, or I was on an email chain, the EDA people were trying to verify our matching funds for that EDA grant. That's a good sign.
That is a good
I haven't heard anything, but the fact that they're checking to see, make sure we have the match
That's
is a
awesome.
good sign. Sewer, we had to order a new pump for the lift station, one failed. So we have 2 pumps in there. I'd like to keep a third one on the shelf. We don't have one right now. We're about 6 weeks out. No,
Did you get the other one back already?
no, that one was gonna be, the estimate was 18 weeks to get parts for it, and I didn't wanna wait that long, so I just bought a new one. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the old one yet, whether we're gonna have it shipped back here, and have it for parts, or see where it is, and it's about $8,500 to have it rebuilt. I might just get it rebuilt, just 'cause, and
Then you have it.
water, there's gonna be a task order tonight for a grant application for, MSEP, and I gave the mayor an explanation of it. I'll just
You've got, do you wanna
run through it really
Do
fast.
you want to borrow the notes?
Yeah.
See if my scribble's on there, help
So-
your,
This funding cycle, the Montana Coal Endowment Program is allowing cities to put in for 3 planning grants. Usually you can only do 1. It was part of, burning up the ARPA money. They had to get rid of it or send it back to the federal government. We were awarded 1 for stormwater. We got that. We were awarded 1 for our capital improvement grant, or planning grant. We got that one. We applied for the wastewater one. This is where it gets confusing. It took forever for them to award the grant, and we were coming up against, we needed to have the PER done to apply and get into this year's funding cycle for the project grants. The project grants only come available every other year. So if we miss that, we're at least 2 years behind actually getting any work done. So we just decided we had money budgeted in engineering. We said, we'll just pay for it. We waited till the very last minute, and we said, heck with it, we're gonna pay for it, get it done so we can make this cycle. Then they came up and said, hey, you got your grant, after we got our PER done. We
a
couldn't
month after.
Oh, geez.
we couldn't retroactively take the money and put it back in our coffers, because they don't allow that, so we had to send it back. We declined it, so we still have an opportunity to apply for another planning grant. We're redoing the water PER, and we got a grant from a different program, DNRC, for $20,000. PER costs about $50,000, so we were planning on spending $30,000 out of water reserves to pay for it. What we're doing with this resolution is applying for the 3rd MSEP grant for $30,000, and then our PER for water will be 100% grant funded.
Cool.
Does that make
Love
sense?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what we're voting on tonight.
Yep.
Yes, that is the one
That's
that we
what
are
we're doing.
voting on tonight.
And what else do I have on my list? What's on yours? Oh, I did look into the Safe School Sidewalk Program. It's not Safe Schools. But there is another one out there, and Brandon is looking into it from Great West to see what he can learn. And it is the program, I'll find it here, that y'all were talking about, because Bozeman did get, they're actually
Right.
got shovels in the ground right now on, it is, oh, yeah. So it's a Department of Transportation, Transportation Alternatives Program. It's the same program that we would apply for the Brewery Hill Trail. So what Brandon's looking into is to combine both.
So it's not called Safe Schools Program.
Not anymore. They must,
Okay.
What's that?
It's,
they must have did away with that. That
which
Yeah,
makes
they
sense,
did.
now they can broaden it
Yeah,
up
they
a
used
bit.
to have one, where's that other email at? Got it answered. They had a Safe Routes to School program, and that was discontinued about 10 years ago. And the Safe School ones is for, like, resource officers, violence prevention program, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
Well, we could do that too.
and water, the PER, we've been working on line replacements, been working on the service line inventory that's due in, October, and, we've been having more and more of the SCADA issues where our tanks and our pumps and our PERs aren't communicating. That's kind of coming to a head, so I'm gonna bring in a different outfit and get a quote for them to kind of revamp all of it. 'Cause I think the current people we're working with, they don't really want to bite that off, and we're just Band-Aiding. And so I'm gonna get a cost estimate on that. And that's it.
Thank you.
Now, sorry I didn't write something up.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
it's
sorry
okay.
too.
Been busy.
I know, it's like, I can't just think.
I'm grateful you didn't.
Oh, wait, I gotta go on the
fly.
I may have to reach out to have you
Yeah,
look at this
no, I can
section, but,
just shoot it over to me in an email,
Yeah.
and I'll,
and I would just like to say that you, like, since you've come on board, you've really dug in on a lot of things, and it's
yeah.
Literally.
It's really impressive
I
to,
tend
see how
not
much you've
know
gotten
when to say
done.
no.
Well, the
So
city
thank you.
and my constituency, I get comments all the time that they're amazed how quickly things are getting done, and that things are getting done.
yeah.
I just love it, because if it's ever, like, when people ask me, or like, when are you gonna do this? Like, actually, it's already in the works, like,
Yeah.
you'd be amazed, you'll see some work happening here in the next few days, like, so, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think crew's happy being busy, so, good.
The last thing on the agenda is, Parks and Sustainability Board update, and I don't know if there's any, probably not more on sustainability, but if there's anything from Parks that,
We
wanna
canceled
share?
our parks meeting this month.
okay.
It got changed to a let me add a little more color to that. It got changed to a non-standard date and time. It did not get changed on the calendar, so they showed up and there was no building, there was no anybody in
Yep.
and there was no, we actually had that happen with 2 meetings. As a result, the process has been changed. When somebody comes in and says, hey, here's this out, send it out, they go and check and validate as part of the process that it's actually on the calendar. It's on the public calendar, we're publicly noticing everybody, but make sure that somebody shows up in the building that's available, because we had 2 of those that basically related to changes because of 4th of July that didn't happen. And another one that almost had that happen, but because I was late leaving the previous meeting, somebody else showed up 15 minutes to the next one, and was like, oh, there's a meeting? So like, so I guess we only had it happen to 1, but we potentially had it happen to
Yep.
2, that the updating happened.
Yeah, I was zooming into that, like, do you have keys? I'm like, I wouldn't be able to get us in regardless, and I'm not even here, like I was gonna watch on Zoom, I was waiting for everyone to log in.
But if you had the code, you would have gotten in and the alarm would have gone off.
Oh, and I,
That would have been.
I will never be the person to open a door here just for that reason. I hate alarm systems. In terms of sustainability, there is a bit of an update beyond all the Allen goodness. We did speak with Republic about curb stop at recycling, where some of those items are going. Essentially, is glass actually going to places? Is it actually sustainable? Cardboard, all of that, and figuring out what curbside would look like.
Oh, nice.
They are going to put together a bid to just see what that cost would look like as well. So, otherwise, again, they also mentioned that if we were to spruce up our recycling center to essentially be a true transport station or transfer station, they could potentially run it. So that is another interesting thought. So it was a lot of food for thought during that meeting, and mostly that's the majority of what we talked about was just recycling and, again, a couple of the grant
When
ones.
the transfer stations do, the citizens actually, they're able to go there and bring excess trash and garbage there as well?
I think it would
Or
just
is
be
it before
specifically
recycling?
recycling.
Okay.
Yep,
I wasn't sure.
yep.
And so it'd be open all the time?
Uh,
Kind of like most transfer stations?
I think it'd probably have better hours at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay.
the one thing with it too, that they're very concerned on is just the safety of how ours works. It really needs to be a pull-through, which I know we did the land swap, so there is that potential there.
Yeah.
But they're really concerned about just safety for that matter, 'cause someone died at a
They
trans,
don't let more than one person in at a time,
yeah,
at theirs in Missoula and where else they have them.
yep, and they had to shut one down because someone died, like, that's,
Did they get run over, or?
yes. So, again, little things that kind of came to light
Yeah.
that were, you know, good to hear, and, but, again, just got the wheels turning for a lot of folks in the
Okay.
room. Talking about compost, like, if we can identify good places to start with doing grass, leaves, that kind of thing, then potentially expanding in the future. They had some cool solutions from Mizzou, is that right, or Bozeman? Trying to remember where they had those composting setups that they were awful proud of, that they got grants for. Bozeman. So yeah, it was a good meeting on that regard, and looking forward to hearing updates from Republic on,
It's gonna be a couple of months.
I figure it's nothing, you know, but anyway, the wheel's turning, so.
Well, thanks for the update on that. I just got in the mail today, I have a building in Bridger, and they are almost doubling their garbage rates, just FYI.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
I will tell you that the initial conversations on our side, and by initial, I mean they were not formal meetings, it was to sit down and have a conversation with, our trash guy after our meetings, to the upcoming year. The question in simplest terms was stated with what we're paying for gas, or what we're paying for trash now, plus what we're collecting for recycling now. If we look at curbside recycling options, there's some other things we have the ability to do as well with the trash cans, because we've moved trash to the monthlies. We now have the options of having large and small trash cans, so people can select what service level they're paying.
Mhm.
We have the option for people to opt out if they have a commercial dumpster. So there's a couple different options, and the question in simplest terms was placed as, is this an exercise worth going through? Or is it gonna be such an exponential increase that it's wasted energy? Is this an exercise even worth going through? And his response was, absolutely. I think it'll be a lot closer to what you're paying now than some exorbitant number. And so that was saying that A, I don't see them doubling,
Yep.
and B, we're gonna be able to increase the services over what we're doing right now.
Cool.
So, again, that's two guys chatting after meeting. It's not formal, there's nothing there that's contractual or obligated, but it did give me reason to have optimism as we're having the conversation.
Cool.
That gentleman is very much, landfill avoidance wired into his system.
Mhm.
And so there is, he has as much a desire as, well, almost anybody, to make sure that we're doing productive and meaningful recycling.
Can I just say, I do not want people to be able to opt out, because then they'll just be going around and throwing their trash in dumpsters, like they do from the county.
The good
And they
news
kept
is.
them.
only I thought they have a dumpster, everybody said.
Yeah, only if they have a
No, you said
dumpster.
people could opt out.
If they have a dumpster.
Have a
Dumpster.
Oh, we
So,
already do that.
pardon? We don't, we still charge them. So I could give you.
Oh, you don't charge commercial bills.
We don't charge the commercial dumpster, but they have a commercial dumpster they pay for separately, and they currently pay
Oh,
for city
okay.
in addition to that.
So they have to have something.
Yeah.
That's my only
Yeah.
concern.
No, I am right there with you.
Yeah.
I live in
They're
a
not
place
opting out
that,
anything.
This meeting is done and it's time to start the next.
adjourn.
Adjourn the meeting.
I am going to leave.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
fair enough.
He was resting, so I had time to be here, but.
Okay, I was gonna say, I